All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is Ending the Stigma, where we just have conversations just to kind of normalize, um, not normalize committing felonies, but normalize being around people that have committed felonies. Hi, Catherine, showing up as LinkedIn user. Thanks for joining us. So, my guest tonight was supposed to have been on last week, but he got iced in and couldn't get. He's just like me. Where he lives, he doesn't have great internet. That's why I stream. I'm at my office. Um, so he was going to go to his parents or to his mom's and do the show, but he couldn't get anywhere because all the roads were iced up. So we rescheduled for tonight. Y'all may remember Krista Scammahorn was my guest. Um, I think it was the first show of the season, if I remember right. And she talked about her experience with having a son that had, you know, been doing drugs since he was, a teenager, been in trouble with the law, been to prison. She told her what it was like as a mother um, to watch her son go through that. And she wrote a book about it. And it was really just an amazing conversation. I met her we were actually connected. So this is funny. I thought she connected with me when Julie's house burned down. But I went back and looked at I went back to my very beginning of my LinkedIn connections, and she was back there from like March or April of last year. So we've been connected for a while. I don't know, I guess I just didn't know it. But anyway, her son Hank is with us here tonight. And so I'm going to bring Hank out. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
Not much. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, we were talking backstage earlier. He was iced in last week, and this week it's 80 degrees up there.
80 degrees, sweating at work.
Yeah, welcome to the South.
Right.
So, man, we heard your story through your mom or her side of it.
Yeah.
Why don't you just kind of tell us, if you want to, just however much or however little of your testimony and just kind of how you got started getting in trouble and, kind of the how it started, where it's at,
Okay. All
kind of
right.
thing.
Well, I grew up in a loving, normal family. I mean, it was a great family when I was growing up. I was playing sports all the time. We were pretty close when I was growing up. Um, I got into middle school, and that's when I started to branch out a little bit, meet different people, learn some new things, and by 15, I had started to drink and smoke weed, and that escalated pretty quickly. Right before I turned 16 is when I started doing OxyContin,
Mm-hmm.
and things started getting a little messy, and
As they do.
as they do,
Yeah.
as the narcotics come in, they get a little messy sometimes. But then right before I turned 16, I also got my first DUI,
Mm-hmm.
and ever since then, if I ever came across the cops, if they ever came across me, I'm not going to say they had it out for me. I'm not going to say that, because they always had a reason to mess with me when they
Right.
did.
They might have
Um,
had it out for you, but it's because you gave them every reason in the
I
world
gave them
to.
every reason. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Um,
understand that.
so whenever they would see me, or whenever they would get my ID or something, then they're definitely going to see what they can find on or whatever. So I just, ever since I was 15, man, I just had the worst. I hate to say luck, because, like I said, I always gave them reasons, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would I would just get arrested, man. I counted up the other day. I've been to 10 different counties in Oklahoma, county jails. I just kept getting arrested, man. I couldn't get it figured out. Anyways, so when I got to middle school, I started drinking, smoking weed, and started doing OxyContin. Got arrested, and then it started escalating, man. I couldn't get things figured out. I just kept using, just kept using, and just kept getting in trouble. Um, so then I turned 17, and OxyContin was becoming hard to find. I couldn't find any. So me and my buddy were like, okay, well, the next thing is heroin, and
Hmm.
we're like, man, I
That's
didn't want to try it. I was like, that's a big
yeah,
step there.
that's a big step.
That's a big
Yeah.
step. That's a big step. But that's the only thing that we could really think of at the time, I guess. And
Hmm.
so we decided to do it. We're like, okay, we'll
And
get
it's
some.
let me interrupt you for a second. For
Go ahead.
anybody that doesn't know, it's never been in the drug world. Like whatever you're doing is like the drug you do,
Hmm.
and to branch out into something else, it's like, no, I don't mess with that, man. That stuff's bad.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was a meth user, and we thought that way about heroin. Oh man,
Yeah.
I don't mess with heroin, man.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
Yeah. But really, OxyContin then was just like,
Oh,
what's
hey
going on?
Nathan.
What's up,
Oh, hey
man?
guys, are we doing the spread or what?
We're doing a spread. Nathan, this is Hank.
How's it going, Hank?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, good.
Good deal.
All right, carry on.
Okay, so yeah, at that time, OxyContin really, man, was just man-made heroin. It's just doctor-made heroin. That's how strong really OxyContin was. Anyways, so whenever we decided to do it, me and my buddy at the time, my little running partner at the time, was like, man, I kept saying, I don't know, man, I don't know about that. And he's like, I know, I don't. He's like, but we just won't. I don't know if I should share that. Anyways, we were like, well,
You can share whatever you want. It
okay,
doesn't
all
matter.
right. We're like, well, all right, I'll try it, but I'm not gonna shoot up.
Right,
I'll just
right,
smoke it this time. I'll just smoke it.
right.
So we get it and we try it out, and I look at him and he looks at me and I'm like, man, I don't really feel anything. If you're trying heroin, then you should be messed up. That's what at least I thought. And so we're like, man, I just didn't really get high. So not even 10 minutes later, we're like, okay, we're gonna try to shoot it up.
Mm-hmm.
Not, and it was just that quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the exact spot, the exact place in the city where I did it, for the first
Mm-hmm.
time and I fell in love, man. I fell in love with it. That it is terrible, but it was just over with, right? After that first time, it was over with. I could not shake heroin to save my life, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was I was on it. I was hooked. And
Yeah.
from 17 to 23, I was on it every single day. I mean, it was bad. I couldn't go 4 hours without it, without getting sick. I'd be throwing up,
Mm.
it just bad. It was bad. And I hate really can't explain to the fullest of how I felt about myself, and ashamed and embarrassed, man. That doesn't even really explain fully how I felt about myself, you know.
Yeah, because
And,
all of a
and
sudden you're a kid that's just messing around, getting high, and the next thing you know, you're strung out, and you don't even
you're
know how you
strung
got
out.
there.
Yeah, living out of your car. If you have, hopefully you have a car, because I was living out of my car for a long time, and just man, just doing crazy stuff, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even like crazy. Like, I wasn't robbing people. I wasn't. I always hustled for my money, but it's like to think like this. I was going to a Little Caesars after they closed down to get pizza out of that dumpster, to eat,
Mm-hmm.
knowing damn well that I spent $200 today on heroin, getting high.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't buy food to eat. I'm gonna go get it out of the dumpster. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the stuff right now that like drives me crazy. Like, man, you really did that. It's like,
Boy, that was
but
dumb.
that was not one of my best moments. But
Yeah.
it's crazy to. Anyway, so I got on heroin, and I was on heroin from 17 to 23. I finally got arrested for it. That was my first felony, possession of heroin, and I'd gotten arrested plenty of times between then. Trust me. Um, but I got arrested for it, and I went to county, and I by that time I had already tried to end it twice. I tried to end my life twice. I put enough heroin in my body to kill a horse 2 times. And I would wake up just pissed off, man. I would wake up so mad that I was actually still on this earth. Like, I was done, man. I was so done with this life. I was. So when I get to county, I'm like, okay, this is my chance to get off of it, because I really don't have an option to get it in here. I guess
Mm-hmm.
so. I'm gonna get clean, and so I did. I got off the heroin at 23. I came out of county, feeling good about myself. I'm off heroin. I'm off heroin. And the first thing I do is I call a female friend of mine. She was a friend at the time. So I go and hang out with her, and I mean, I'd probably been out a couple hours, and I was like, so what are we gonna do, And she pulls out a sack of meth and a syringe, and it's like, okay, I guess that's what we're gonna do. And so I got hooked on meth from 23 to 27, just, and
Mm.
it was bad, and that's when things were just like, I don't know how to explain it. Like meth, man, it has like an evil spirit. You know what I mean? Like it's like it brings out just
The worst in you.
the worst, man, the
Yeah.
worst. And going, I was all hyped up saying, okay, well, I'm not on heroin, at least I'm not on heroin,
Right. That's what we
but
used
it's
to
like,
say. I'm not
yeah,
doing heroin.
at least I'm not on heroin. But it's like, dude, you're still putting this needle in your arm every, 4 hours, like,
Yeah.
how does that make it any better,
Yeah.
Anyways, but that's what was my thinking at that time. And man, it was just, man, it's crazy to think about where I'm at now and where I have been,
Yeah.
But anyway, so I got out and I got hooked on meth, and when I was on heroin, I couldn't stand meth. I was like, I don't like to go up, I like to go down. Anyway, so it's just crazy how I just went straight to it, and it's just like, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do now,
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because that's what I knew, is just to go and get high, or what it was, but I knew whatever I was like, I knew I still wasn't liking life, I was still getting high, I was doing all this stuff. So I got arrested a few more times, different counties. On that first felony charge of the heroin, they gave me a 5 years deferred, and that didn't slow me down at all. Like I just kept going, just kept doing stupid stuff, and I moved down south, near Lake Texoma,
Mhm.
uh, and kept messing up there. Just kept doing dumb stuff. Well, I lived down there for about 2 years, and I really couldn't get anything going. So I had decided I'm gonna go to rehab. I talked to my aunt's husband, so my uncle-in-law or whatever, and he was like, "Man, I'll take you, man. I'll take you to the rehab, that I went to, and all this stuff." It's like, we'll get you helped. We'll get you help. It's like, all right, all right. So I told him, all right, Tuesday, come pick me up, or it was something like that, Tuesday or Wednesday. You always need a couple more days or whatever.
Right.
So I was like, let me, just give me a couple days, come pick me up on this day or whatever. And so that day came around, and I wasn't where I was supposed to be. I was like, okay, I got to go take care of this before or whatever. So then I end up going back to my grandpa's house, and he's like, we're taking you to the Indian hospital right now to get you checked in, or I'm calling the police,
Mhm.
And God, I love him, man. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I didn't want to go. I was just like, no, no, no. I'm
Yeah.
going to try to sneak out the back door when he goes and gets in the truck. I'm gonna, this crazy, the thinking, that the thoughts that were running through my head at that time. I'm like, wow, man. I'm so glad that I didn't get stuck like that, because
Yeah.
anyway,
And
so
I've seen people get stuck like that.
exactly. So, and it's crazy to think about, like, how close was I to getting stuck, because that's what the
Mhm.
thoughts that run through my mind is like, man, I was probably pretty close to getting stuck like that, and it's
Mhm.
scary to think about, it really is. But so I wasn't one to go, and he finally called the police, man, and I am so glad that he did. He literally saved my life with that call to the police. And then I sat there in the front yard just waiting for the police. I was done. And
Yeah.
it was so crazy, because it was just like, I gotta go do this, I gotta go do this, I can't do this, can't do that. And then it was just like, whenever he said, I called the police, man, if you're not going, I called the police, it was just like I shut down. It's just like, all right. Like I finally made it was at that time, I hadn't made the decision to change my life, but it's like my body or something. I guess it might have been God, was just like, sit down, like, it's time, And but then I get to county, so I got arrested in that county because I had a warrant in another county.
Okay.
And
I was going to ask why he was going to call the cops. Did he know you had a warrant out or
well,
something?
I don't know why. Yeah, I did have a warrant. I think he knew I had a warrant or whatever.
Okay.
But I think he called the cops because he didn't want me in his house at that point because he knew he was wanting to take me to rehab. He wasn't wanting me to go to jail, but I just
Mhm.
wouldn't go. And I'm just so glad that he called he called the cops. It's weird to say now, but I am.
No, I
Um,
understand.
yeah, and so I got to Marshall County, and I was there for like 4 days. But that whole time, I was eating so much food. Like I was eating every single thing in sight. Like it was crazy. And so I was in there for 4 days, eating everything. I get to the other county, and then they finally weigh me there, and I weighed 115, 118, something like that. I'm like, man, I was probably 105 when I got arrested, man. Like I don't even know. It
Yeah.
was crazy. It's crazy to think about. And anyway, so when I'm in county, someone's in there is like, man, I'm going to sign for this time. I'm going to sign for this time. There's always someone in county saying they're going to go to prison or whatever, or I'm going to decide this. And he was like, well, if I go to prison, I won't have to pay these fines, And I'm like, hold on. And that's what caught my attention. I was like, hold on. If you go to prison, you don't have to pay the fines that you owe. And he's like, yeah, yeah. So I'm like, well, hold on. Like those fines, what keeps getting me arrested. They keep setting these court dates and having these fines, but I just wasn't going to court, so I just kept getting arrested because anyway. So I was like, well, whenever I go to court, I'm going to ask the public defender, about this.
Hmm.
And so when I get to court, I'm like, he's like, okay, so they're going to give you a 5 suspended. So they were trying to send me home, and
Hmm.
it was just going to be in the cycle that I've been going through, get arrested again, and
Hmm.
so I was like, let me ask you a question. He's like, what's up? I said, so say I wanted to sign for 5 years in prison, and I go to prison. When I get out, are all these fines that I have right here going to be taken care of? He's like, yeah, man, you won't have any fines. You won't have any fines. You won't even have to go to DUI school to get your license back. I don't even know why he threw that in there. But anyways, he's like, you won't have any fines. And I said, okay, well, I have another charge in another county. Can I run that CC and take care of those fines while I'm there too? He's like, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm like, well, let me, So I decided to go to prison, because I was like, this is what I need to do. I need some time away. I
Hmm.
need to see who I am. You know what I mean? Like I gotta. This is not who I am. It's not me.
Right.
And so I was like, man, I'm gonna take care of the fines. I'm gonna get out, have no fines. I can make something of myself. I can make a life.
Hmm.
Well, uh, the public defender didn't tell me that none of that was true. Like I have all my fines still. I had to do a bunch of crap to get my license back. But anyways, yeah. So the public defender just straight up lied to me about that. But I'm so glad that I made the decision to go to prison because, man, man, I wish that y'all could see where I was at in my active addiction. See what I looked like, how I talked, what I was, to where I am now. Like it's a complete different, life that I live. Like it's
Yeah.
just like, man, I'm loving. I'm waking up, and I'm not gonna say I'm excited to go to work or anything, but what excites me is that I am going to work. I am
Hmm.
paying bills. Like I'm doing this stuff. Like I get excited that I have bills. Like I know it sounds crazy, but
No,
it's
I
like,
do. I understand.
but I'm liking that I'm taking care of this business that I never would have thought I would be doing. A couple of years ago, I'd be like, bills. What are you talking about? No, now I'm like, I don't know. It's awesome to be excited just to be doing a normal thing, like just to be,
Hmm.
I don't know. It's awesome, man. And oh, so let me tell you how I got into the Exodus house, because this is kind of,
Yeah.
it's a really big, important thing to me. So right before I got out, it was about a month. No, it was about 3 weeks before I get out. My mom had sent me an application for the Exodus House, which is a reintegration program, a sober living program that they run. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll fill it out. I'll fill it out, and I'll turn it in. So I'm filling out this application, and when I get about halfway through, and I put it down, and I start reading it. I was just filling it out to send it in. I wasn't reading it, but I finally stopped and read it, and it was like, please turn in this application 6 months before you get out, or something like that. Yeah, 6
Mm-hmm.
months before you get out. And I'm looking at 3 weeks left. I'm like, oh crap, there's no way I'm getting in, but I'm
Right.
gonna still fill it out. I'm still gonna send it in. And so I sent it in, and the day before I get out, the day before I get out, the case manager calls me into the office and was like, Hank, you have a phone interview with the people at Exodus House. Be in my office at 1:25. They're going to call at 1:30. We'll get everything set up. It's like, all right. So it was about 1:15. I'm pacing outside her door. Like, she's at lunch, so I'm just waiting for her. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm excited now. I'm excited. It gets to about 1:20. I'm like, okay, where is she at? Where is she at? It gets to be 1:35, and I'm like, okay, well, she just ruined it for me. Like, what the
Mm-hmm.
heck? So I call my mom off the wall phone, it's a regular phone, and I'm like, hey mom, this is what happened. This is what happened. I need to get this lady's number so I can call her. And so she gets me the number, and I call Robin off the wall phone. I had to pay for the phone call or whatever.
You were
And
still in prison at this time, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
still in
Okay.
prison.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I called Robin, who runs the Exodus House, and I told her the situation. I was like, "Hey, I know we had this interview set up for 1:30, but my case manager still hasn't came back from lunch, and I'm just letting you know that it's not me. Like, I'm really excited to do this." And she's like, "Okay, well, we'll just do the phone interview now." And I was like, "Well, I only have like 7 minutes on this phone call because my money's about to run out." She's like, "Okay, we'll hurry up. We'll do this." Ask me all these questions and everything, and I'm answering them. And she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna need a couple days to think about it. When do you get out? And I said, I get out tomorrow. I get out in less than 12 hours. Like, I'm almost done. And she's like, oh wow. She's like, well, I don't usually make quick decisions like that. She's like, I don't know. Well, you know what? You have 4 hours to get here tomorrow. And I was like, I will be there. Like, I'll
Wow.
I'll be there. It's crazy how God worked everything out. Like, and it's at the time you're like, man, this needs to hurry. This needs to do, this needs to happen. This needs to happen. But really, His plan's working the whole time, and you just don't know it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's awesome. Yeah.
So, how long were you at the Exodus House?
I was
And tell us that, and then tell us a little bit about what all the Exodus House does.
okay. So I lived at the Exodus House for 7 months. Well, a little over 6 months. The program is a 6 month program where through the week you have a schedule. So on Monday we have a AA meeting at the house where everyone's there having a meeting. On Tuesday you have a group therapy session where a therapist comes in and we all do a group therapy thing. And sometimes we'll do like a cooking class or a budgeting class or something like that, which
Uh-huh.
helps you plan ahead and stuff. Wednesday, you have to go to your own AA or NA meeting, like an outside meeting. Um, Thursday, we go to church. Friday, we have to go to another outside meeting. Saturday, so it's every day you're doing something. And
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, we go to a church. Um, Also, you pay $450 a month each month you're there, but that goes into savings. So we call it rent. So you get yourself used to paying rent, but
Mm-hmm.
so you're paying that. But at the end of your stay, they give you all that money back. So really it's just you put it into savings. That way, when you get out of the Exodus House, you can find your own place to live or whatever like that.
You basically
Um,
have your deposit and all that kind of stuff.
yeah. So you're paying $450 a month for 6 months. You got a nice little amount saved up, and you can put more in there, to save for later. Um, Man, they just do some great stuff, man. And uh,
So you
it's
had a job while you were
yeah,
there?
yeah.
Okay.
So when I got out, they told me, okay, well, there's this place that hires a lot of our people. It's called MD Building Products, and it's this warehouse job. And that's why man, the Exodus House. I can't explain to you how important that that program is to me, because that I decided to change my life around. I decided that, and God helped me change
Mm-hmm.
my life around. But they helped me make my life. They helped
Mm-hmm.
me form for my schedule, my routine. That they helped with everything, man. And so they got me a job at MD Building Products, and I've been working there ever since. I've gotten 2 promotions. My supervisor on Monday just asked me. He said, "Hank, what do you think about being a supervisor someday?" And I'm like, "Man, that's
Oh
well." First,
wow.
yeah. First of all, the first thing I said was, "Well, it better come with a healthy raise," and
Right, exactly.
because those supervisors, yeah. Anyway, they're pretty busy. But I said that, and then he was real. I was just joking around, but he was being serious. He's like, "Okay," and then he told me what they make, and I'm like, "I'd be very interested in that. Like, I'll take that job." Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, it's great. It's great. Everything's good.
So that it's not just a place for you to stay, and it's not just so
Mhm.
basically they make you pay rent, but they don't really you get it back. So you're
But you
staying
get it
there
back.
free of charge.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
all your meals are paid for.
No, no, no. We do have a house meal. Like on that Tuesday, we do the group therapy. We have a
Hmm.
meal beforehand. Um, So no, but they usually help you find a job. So they usually help you find a job. They help you go get on food stamps, right? And you get out. So you definitely won't be going hungry there. If you don't
Right, right.
if someone didn't have food, then then they come and ask another person. We got food. It's a big family is what it is.
Hmm.
And Robin, the lady that runs it, she's an addict, an ex-addict, and alcoholic of herself. So she won't sugarcoat anything, man. She'll
Hmm.
tell you how it is. Like, okay, oh, you're tired. Well, me too. Let's go, keep going. Like, and it's great to have that, because she's loving and caring, but she'll also stick a foot in your ass if you need to, like, and that's what you
Hmm.
need. That's what
Hmm.
I needed. I needed some structure when I first got out, and that helped, man. Like it helped make me who I am today. Really, it really did.
And they help you like, and I thought that was cool. You said they help you do a budget and
Hmm.
cooking classes, and because for somebody that was living out of their car and eating food out of a dumpster,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff is crucially important
yeah.
if you've never had to deal with that before.
Yeah. Or budgeting, like
Yeah.
I really hadn't really paid a real bill ever in my life. I haven't done
Hmm.
any adult thing. I had never done it before. I started when
Yeah.
I was 15 years old, and drugs was my life for 12 years. Like that's all
Hmm.
I really did. So whenever we do that budget class, and they're like, "Well, look at this, and you got to think of this, do this, this." I'm like, "Wow, that's I never even think about that." And
Hmm.
they do even more stuff that I can't even think of right now, man. Like it's just that's something that's so close to my heart that we put the link on there to donate. Uh,
Yep.
Please, if you find it in your heart to do it, that I will appreciate it so much. That is something that is so incredible to me that I would really appreciate.
So how are they funded? Are they funded strictly through donations?
Strictly through donations. Yeah, this will be the second year where they're strictly donations. I guess they were helped by the state for a while, but this is the second year where they're strictly donations. So all the donations will definitely help and are needed for sure.
How many guys do they house at a time?
Uh, they do 18, and it's co-ed. They'll
Okay.
do 18. They have 18 people.
Okay.
At the time right now, they don't have 18 because of COVID and everything. They could
Hmm.
only do one person per apartment, but they're starting to grow in numbers again.
So they have actual apartments for you guys?
Yeah, you get an apartment, and you sometimes you'll have a roommate or not, or sometimes, but because of COVID, they can't have roommates right now. And
Yeah.
they also have an Exodus house in Tulsa too, so I don't know how many people are there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's a pretty big place,
yeah,
and they help a lot of people. That's awesome, dude. And it's
yeah.
awesome that they're able to do that strictly on
Donation.
donations. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
it made a big impact in your life.
yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, to me, and this might be extreme to other people, but to me, they are literally changing the world. Maybe it might just be one person at a time or whatever, but it's happening, man. And that's what something that's really important to me is someone that's making a difference, even if it's just one person's life that they're making a difference in.
Hmm.
But it's not, man. They're changing not only my life in my circle, but they're changing my mom's life. I believe, you know, they're changing anyone that's dealt with me since I've been out. They've changed their lives too, because man, I get goosebumps thinking about it. Whenever I see the look on my family's eyes when they see me now, and they're just like smiling, and I could see like them being proud of me, like that's something that I will never give up because of that. You know what I mean? Like that drives me. That drives me. You know, and
Yeah.
in the Exodus house, that I'm telling you, that's what made everything else happen since I've been out. Like they went above and beyond, and yeah, they're great people, man.
Yeah. Your mom had a lot of good stuff to say about them too when she was on. Just how amazing they were and how they worked with you and taught you real world skills. It wasn't just like a halfway house where they throw you in there, make you get a job, and charge you $500, and you know
Yeah,
you're in an old flea bag motel. It used to be a motel,
yeah,
living with 2 or 3 other guys in the same room, and it's all drugs and
and it's all drug. Yeah, see that.
yeah, everything.
Whenever right before I got out, I was talking to my mom, and at first I wasn't going to come to the city. I was going to go to Ardmore, and because I didn't want to come to the city, I had all these bad memories there, and
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so she had sent me a thing in the mail, a letter, and it was a devotional, and it was saying maybe God's wanting you to see old places in new eyes. You know, maybe you can
Mm-hmm.
go to a place and see it in a new way, and that's when I was like, okay, I'll see what they have to offer in Oklahoma City. You know, and crap, I forgot where I was going with that. uh, um,
I do it all the time.
I hate that, man. I do that all the time. Oh, but that so she was like, well, maybe we can look into a sober living, you know, in the city. And I was like, I don't know, mom. Anything I hear about sober living houses, they're not sober. Like it's just like
Mm-hmm.
drugs all over the place. But that was definitely not the case next to this house, man. Like that, I can't say enough good things about it. Like seriously, I can't.
And that's the difference. I don't know how it is up there. It sounds like it's probably pretty similar, and we'll ask Nathan if he knows in Colorado. Um, in Texas, the state-run halfway houses are
Yeah,
the shit.
yeah,
The shit bags. They're not worth
yes,
the clip.
yeah,
There's hookers coming in and out. The guys
right,
are relapsing, and it's the private run, and it's all because of funding. And you got to think anything government run it's not going to be the same standards as somebody that um, is doing it as a passion and not as a job. For
right,
one
right.
thing, um, is it like that in Colorado too, Nathan?
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
So these private run ones, most of them are faith based,
Hmm.
and they just have
So
a. Go
in
ahead.
Colorado, um, there's a definite difference between halfway houses,
Hmm.
even if they're, or I should say, community corrections more
Yeah,
so, than there is like a sober living house or a transition house. Like those are completely separate worlds. So we
Really?
even have private community corrections and halfway houses that are trash. The
yeah.
state
Okay.
ones are
Okay.
absolute trash, but there are several sober living houses and transition houses and opportunities like that. And like you said, faith based and
Yeah,
Hmm.
different things. And those ones are where guys actually get some decent opportunities.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's a lot of times those. The state is not to turn, not trying to get political with it, but the state is government,
yeah,
so they're overworked, underpaid. Most of them don't. Even if they do care, their hands are so tied on what they can do because of regulations. Um, and so even the jobs that are offered to those guys are not always as good as the jobs that the private run facilities can get their guys into. Um, just because a lot of the headache that goes with working with the state run agency,
yeah,
you know. So that's awesome that it made that big of an impact in your life. And
yeah.
Sam dropped the link to the Facebook page in the comments. Thank you for doing that, Sam. If anybody wants to click on that and check it out, I dropped the link to the website, cjam.org, in the website. If y'all want to go make a donation to the Exodus House, they would appreciate
Yeah.
it. Hank would
Yes,
appreciate it.
for sure.
And that was one thing. Krista reached out to me. She asked me before the show if we could do that, and I said absolutely. if it made that big of an impact where he wants to plug them, then we will definitely give them a plug.
Yes.
So you've been out of Exodus House now for how long on your own?
I've been on my own now for almost a month.
And you have an apartment?
Yes. Yeah.
Grinning, man. I love that.
Man, yeah, I love it, man. It's awesome.
We were talking about that before the show too, just what it does to somebody to get out and actually have a place of their own. Have a job that they can actually pay their bills with, to have bills. Like it's just it totally shifts your perspective on life.
It gives me drive, man. Like whenever I have this fire under me now that it's just like nothing can stop me but me, you know? Like that's just how I feel, because I'm close with God, and I'm trying to go in his path, you know, and but whenever I'm succeeding, like I just keep wanting to go, man. I keep wanting to succeed more and more, and it's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm just happy just thinking about where I am right now, you know.
And I know your mom's proud as hell of you. She was just
yeah.
glowing, gushing over how well you were doing when she was on the show.
Yeah.
And I know for me, and I'm sure Nathan's the same way. Like when I first got out, I stayed with my granddad for a little while, for over a year, from May of 2016 until I got married in 2017, September 2017. And I mean, it was fine. I had all the freedom to come and go as I want. But whenever you have your own house with your own bills,
yeah,
it does shift. And I'm sure Nathan just bought a condo. It just it makes you feel good about yourself, you know. It's just this confidence boost, and that's what you know. So many guys getting out have a hard time finding housing because they have a felony. People don't want to rent to them. People, you know, they're not always in a position to buy. Like Nathan has been out for a few years and is just now where was in a position to buy a house.
Yeah.
And you can't just go rent anywhere because nobody wants to rent to a felon.
Right.
And so it can kind of beat you down.
Yeah. Now that was one thing where I started getting a little frustrated about, was when I was applying for apartments and stuff, and man, it seemed like everywhere was turning me down for a while there. You know, and I was like, man, you know, like I'm positive since I've been out. I've been staying positive, just about everything, you know, and that's one thing that I was like, okay, this is starting to get pretty annoying, you know, like but people don't see that you've changed. You know what I mean? Like people don't even care to know it. You know, they want to see stats. You know, they want to see your past and everything like that. And maybe it's just me, but to be honest, I can't blame them for that. You know, I can't blame them for that. But I just wish people would understand that, man, people really are out here trying to change their lives. You know, like give someone a chance. You know what I mean? Like I'm out here grinding, man. I'm out here working my butt off. You know, you can ask my bosses, you know, they love me because I'm working my ass off. But it's like, but when I'm trying to change my life, I'm trying to get my own place, and it's like no one's wanting to do it. No one's wanting to give me a chance. And I'm like, but then I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, I can't blame them, man. I have no rental history. I have, you know, I have no credit. Well, I did have credit, and it's not good at all. But it's like, I have terrible credit. But it's like, I was just, man, I was almost to the point where I was wanting to go up to a place, to an office of an apartment building, and just be like, look, I got this much money. I got, you know, this job. I do this. Just give me a chance. You know, like just give me a chance. I'll pay extra. I don't care. Just give me a chance. And I was almost to that point, man. Like I was just like, because I had graduated the Exodus House, I'm like, okay, it's time to get my own place, you know. But I was like, I couldn't find it, you know. I'm like, I'm applying 3 different places a day, you know, all the time. I'm paying out of pocket for the, you know, application fee, but I didn't care at that point. I'm like, let me just get a chance, please. And finally, I just got lucky, man, and someone approved me, and yeah.
And that kind of desperation oftentimes leads to somebody reoffending.
Right. You're exactly right. I didn't even think about it like that, but it's very true, you know.
Yeah. But what it leads to here that I've seen more often than not is okay, well, I can't find a decent place that'll rent to me. I can't rent here. I can't rent there. I can't rent, I'm having such a hard time. So there's two different groups in Colorado Springs that have housing available, and they primarily rent to felons.
Mhm.
And they're essentially slumlords. Okay.
Mhm.
So you've got
Yeah.
Gretschio housing and you've got L&J housing. And people end up going to these places because at least they can get a place.
Mhm.
And they're in shit neighborhoods. They're in shit condition.
Yeah.
The landlords are assholes.
Yeah.
And there's drugs all over the place in these places. I mean, it's a worse situation than probably what you originally came out of.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which leads to, like,
right.
imagine somebody like Hank who recovering from being a drug addict for 12 years, all of his life,
My whole life. Yeah.
doing almost 2 years in prison, 6 months out, and you put him in a place like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Now
You can point to three neighbors down. I mean, in your whole row of these little apartments, you can point to three of them that are selling drugs out of them. You've got hookers
Right.
running in and out every night. You've got
Yeah.
gunshots going off and fights in the parking lot. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
it's inevitable after that. It's almost
right.
inevitable to
Even
where
even if you come out of prison and you don't have a drug problem, going into one of those places, you're not
Yeah.
set up to succeed. You're
Yeah.
not.
right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because like part of Maslow's hierarchy is the need for security and to be safe
Yeah.
and all of that. If you don't feel that, you start making dumb choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now he's going to tell it like it is, Kenny. Whoops. There we go. So what's next, man?
Man, I'm wanting that supervisor position now, man. I just keep thinking
Right.
about it. He told me about it Monday, and he was telling me when he told me about it, I was like, man, why did you ask me that? Like, I just want to know, like, why did you ask me? He's like, well, because the bosses are up there today talking that you're the next one up, man. And I was like, man, don't tell me that, man. Don't tell me that if you're playing with me. He's like, no. He said,
Mhm.
I'm telling you that they are being serious, that you're the next one up. He said, but there's not a spot open yet. He said, but there will be. He said, there might be sooner than you think. So, anyways, that's kind of my next goal right now, and just keep fighting, man. That's I just I just want to keep succeeding. That's all, I just want to keep growing in every way. I just want to keep getting better in every part of life. That's what I'm aiming for. I'm not saying that it's happening, I'm not saying that I'm succeeding in everything, but I'm definitely going in the right direction.
Yeah, 100%. I should have done this at the beginning, y'all, and I forgot to do it. So let me do a quick plug.
Okay.
Sadie's Purpose sponsored this show tonight. If y'all don't know or are not connected to Amanda Knight, you need to go follow her, connect with her. Sadie's Purpose is a nonprofit that Amanda started to help the families that had babies in the NICU. So Amanda lost a baby. Um, they were born premature. She had a set of twins. One of them got, and I don't remember what it was called. It was some sort of sickness, basically. And it was a long battle. She was in and out of the NICU all the time. And there'd be times, they'd have to leave in the middle of the night or leave spur of the moment, and they wouldn't think to grab a toothpaste and toothbrush and hairbrush and deodorant and stuff for the kids to play with because she had other kids. So what Sadie's Purpose does is they put together packages for the families in the NICU that has basic toiletry items, toys for the kids to play with, coloring books, all that kind of stuff. And Amanda runs it. She has an amazing team of people that are on the board and help her. And they are they're an official 501c3, so they have their nonprofit status. So any kind of donation you give them will be tax deductible. You can go to sadiespurpose.org to donate. Check them out. Go follow Amanda and Sadie's Purpose on LinkedIn and Sadie's Purpose on Facebook. All right, that's the plug. I usually do that at the beginning when everybody is there. Yep, know yourself to grow yourself. That's it.
That's right. That's right.
Yep, you'll get there. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness in you, sir. In you,
There we go.
sir. Um, so you got an apartment. You got a good job. Looking at promotions.
Yeah.
Staying clean.
Hmm.
Like you are the epitome of what ending the stigma is all about.
Yeah.
Showcasing people that, and we say this all the time, not everybody's going to act right when they get
Yeah.
out. There are going to be the ones that want to go back. But then you got people like Hank who are hungry just for a chance
Man.
to make it.
Yeah.
And, even in the midst of life or of being turned down for all the apartments and trying to, and the potential to get so frustrated, you just say, screw it all
Hmm.
and go back to what you were doing. You didn't. And you're a productive member of society now.
Yeah.
You have a job, you pay taxes.
I know it's crazy to think about, man. It is, but I love it, man.
As ill spent as the tax dollars may be, you're paying
That's
them.
right. That's right. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm loving life right now, man. And
Yeah.
and like I said, to me, I mean, there's definitely is a stigma. There really is. But to me, I'm not letting it be a stigma, man. Screw that.
Right on, man.
Screw that. My mom, when we were talking about getting my license back, she's like, I'm like, man, I've called this person, these people 10 times today. They didn't answer. They told me to, whatever. She's like, Hank, screw that. Bug the shit out of these people, go. And that's what you got to do. Screw that stigma, man. Go and do it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Go after that life, man. And, it's, I don't know. I get pumped up thinking about it, man, because I am hungry. I'm hungry to get that normal life, and I'm
Mhm.
definitely not where I want to be. There's still a lot of things I want to do, that I need
Mm-hmm.
to do, that I want in life. But I'm gonna do it, man. Like that's plain and simple. Like that's me. I'm not letting a stigma control me. Like yeah, I have felonies. Yes, I am a drug addict. I but now I'm clean 2.5 years today. I'm being a productive citizen. Like I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm not letting so there is no stigma to me right now. Because I'm doing what I'm
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be doing.
I
Mm-hmm.
Like
think
I
it's
did.
super important too to be that example, not only to society in general, showing them, hey, give people opportunities. This is what we can be,
Right.
but also being that example for the guys coming out. Because I don't
100%.
even know how many people I
Right.
know who have been working graveyards at 7-Eleven for the last 5 years because that's all I'm able to do.
Right.
And my goal, first of all, in the advocacy part of it, is to bring the awareness in society and to help open up the opportunities. But I want to show guys, like, I have a master's degree. I work for a Fortune 50 company. I just bought a house. Like, you can
Yeah.
do this shit
You can
too.
do it. Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
not out of reach. You just have to, yeah,
You
you
got
have
to
to bust your ass for it.
you
But
got to fight. Exactly. That's what bugs me is like, yeah, there's this. It's gonna be hard to do this. It's gonna be hard to do that. Okay, so you're just gonna give up? You're just not gonna try? Because that's how I used to be. Is like I didn't want to try because I didn't want to fail. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but you damn sure go hustle to go get some dope, wouldn't you?
Exactly. It's exactly. Oh, I couldn't find a ride to court because it's 2 hours away, but I can find a way to the casino or to the dope house. It's like what? So it's like, yeah, it's gonna be hard, man. So what? Are you just not gonna try? Because I've done that. And it doesn't. Not trying is not succeeding too. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
also not succeeding. So, man, it might be hard, but what is the other option, man? Going back to where it was, going back to eating out of the freaking dumpster, going out to living out of your car, like, man, screw that, man. Yeah, it might be hard, but that's what I want. You know what I mean? I want challenges. Challenges
Mm-hmm.
are also gifts from God. You know what I mean? Challenges, you can either see them as obstacles or you can see them as opportunities, and that's what I'm seeing now is opportunities. Yeah, all these challenges are coming up, but you know what? I'm gonna go head on with them. I'm attacking it. Screw this letting the stigma take control of my life where I'm just like, oh well, I'm a felon, so I'm just gonna go back to my car and sleep. Like, no, screw that, man. I'm done with that crap. I'm making a life with or without somebody. Like I'm doing it, and
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's I get pumped up
Yeah.
thinking about it, man. I really do, because it's like you said, it's like you know so many people that are just like, well, I'm not going to be able to find a place or anything because I'm a felon, or and there is so many stigmas about it. It's like, well, I can't do this because I can't do this. Well, yeah, you can't if you don't try. You know what I mean? Like, go out there and try, man. That's all it is, and that's what is also great about the Exodus House too. You get out. I got out, and I see someone else getting their license. I see someone else has that job for 5 months, and they're getting promotions too. And I'm like, hey, all right, like they're doing some things around here. Like it is
Mm-hmm.
so important to see someone else like, hey, man, they have more charges than I do. Like they have more felonies than I do, but they're out here getting it. They're out here being a productive citizen of society. Maybe I can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I at least try it.
Mm-hmm.
That like you said, it is very, very important that other people see that you can do it. You know what I mean? And I like in NA or AA, they're like, you can't expect your family to trust everything you say now. Right when you're getting
Right.
sober for the first time, you
Right.
can't trust people to think that you're reliable all of a sudden because you got sober. You know what I mean? You can't expect them. What you got to do is you got to walk that freaking walk, man. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to do this, hey, I'm going to do this, and not do it. You know what I mean? You got to show them. And you got to keep continuing to show them. You got to be
Mm-hmm.
consistent. You got to be impeccable with your word. You got to do these things. That way they see what you're doing and they see your actions. That's why
Yeah.
it's in like I really like how you said that, man. Like you got to be that person from somebody else, or just to prove to me. I'm proving it. I'm still proving it to myself. Like
Right.
there's no one in this world that has doubted me more than I have doubted myself.
Yeah.
So when I got out, I had to prove it to myself, and that's where most of my drive is like I got to prove this to myself. Screw everybody else right now. I'm proving this for me and to get closer with God. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that I'm proving to myself that I'm serious about it. That
Mm-hmm.
I just I don't know, man. I get pumped up just
Yeah.
thinking about this
That's
stuff.
what's up, dude. I
The
like to
other
see that.
the other piece to keep in mind, and this is one that people tend to neglect to mention, and I think it's to a lot of people's detriment, but when you fuck up, because you're gonna, everyone
Yeah.
does,
Yeah.
own that shit like immediately.
Right.
Like if you want to build that
Mm-hmm.
trust with your family,
Right.
what's going to be better for you in their eyes if you go to them and say, hey, check it out, I just did this,
I
and
just
like
messed
I'm
up.
super not proud of it, but I gotta own
Right.
this shit and fix it.
Right.
Or just kind of wash it away and hope that they don't find out 2 weeks down the road from someone else.
Right. Right. No, you're exactly right. You're
Yep.
exactly right.
Did you see all these comments, Hank, from everybody on your mom's Facebook page, like just showing you all kinds
Oh
of
yeah.
love?
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me pull them up. Mike Allison,
Yeah.
Mike and Steph,
That's awesome, man.
Keith Pintico. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry.
Pinnacle, yeah.
Pintico, yeah.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome.
Yeah, all these people are on your mom's Facebook page watching.
That's awesome, man.
And then, oh, that was Sam. This one, your mom. Yep.
Like they're not sitting right here beside me.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. And that's awesome too, dude. Like you've got all the support from people watching you tell your
Man.
story right now and getting fired. Like they watch you live it, but then they're also watching you tell about it, trying to make a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I feel like there's definitely more that I could do to help others right now, and I still go and share my story, and there's still more I could do, but I'm still making sure I'm okay first. You know what I mean? Like I got to make
100%.
sure, and it maybe some people might see it as crappy, but I got to make sure I'm okay first before I can help other people. You know what I mean?
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm just, I'm definitely going to do some big things at some point for people in addiction or, in recovery and getting out of prison. I want to do the most. I want to do everything I can, but I also want to make sure I'm okay first before I start, getting out there and get ahead of myself. And then I'm not focused on myself and then I end up relapsing or something. You know what I mean? Like I got to make sure I'm okay first before I can help other people. You know?
Yeah, 100%. So how much longer you have left on parole?
I'm not on parole.
You're not
I
nothing.
have no parole time, man.
That's
It's,
what's up.
yeah, it's
Woo!
awesome. Yeah, and so I went to two of the counties that I owe fines to, and I brought in my certificate from Exodus House. I took them all my meeting sheets for my NA and AA meetings that I've gotten signed. I took them something else, and I showed them. I said, hey, this is what I've done since I've been out. This is I have a job, all this stuff. I'm working to get my license back and all this stuff. This was before I had my license, and man, I was excited when she looked up and said, "Oh, Sam, you look." Well, my real name's Sam. It was like, "Sam, you look a lot better, and you look good." And I'm like, "Man, like okay, then if the judge says that, then I'm doing all right." You know what I mean? Like, because she has seen me at some bad places.
Yeah,
And anyway, and then she said, "Okay, we'll come back in 3 months. Show me that you have your own place to live. Show me that you have your license, and show me that you still have your job, and we'll talk about dismissing the fines."
right
Oh
on.
my gosh, man! Like that, I was on top of the world. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and
because
so the very next day, or no, 2 days later, I end up getting my license. So that's one of the things, and then like 5 days after that, I end up getting my apartment. So now I just got to wait till May 3rd and go up there and show them what I've done.
you know the date, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready, man.
And that's what a
I'm
lot of
ready.
people don't understand either. You get out, you have all these fines.
Yeah.
Like it can be frustrating trying to find a place to live that you can afford while still trying to pay off these fines
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
for minimum wage. If you're catching
Hmm.
a minimum wage job when you get out.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, we are coming up right at an hour mark. Hank, man, I enjoyed this, dude. Like
Hey, me too,
you're
man.
fire and you're like it's an inspiration for real.
Yeah. This is an inspiration, man. Like, this is awesome that y'all do this, man. Seriously, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's something pretty cool. We talked about it last time, but Nathan is in Toastmasters. Tell us about the Colorado DOC lady that was there at Toastmasters.
Okay, Wendy.
Wendy, yeah.
Yeah, Wendy joined our Toastmasters club. She's actually a member now. She was a
Oh,
guest.
cool.
She was a guest when Chris sat in. But when she sat in as a guest, I gave a speech on ending the stigma and the obstacles that people face coming out of prison, and how difficult it can be. And I ran through some of the statistics, and
nobody knew you were giving a speech on that but me.
Right. And then kind of at the end, I dropped a little bomb of, hey, by the way, I have felony convictions. I am still currently on parole too. And nobody in my Toastmasters club knew that. So Wendy ends up joining our club. She is one of the programs directors at one of the facilities here in Colorado. And also as a result of that speech, I was invited to give a TEDx talk. So
wow, man,
right.
that is awesome, man.
So
Heck
I mean,
yeah.
there's still more of a process. It's not like a for sure thing. I still have to go through the whole application and all that other stuff. But
Oh man, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
But I wish you
Yeah.
could have seen, like, I didn't know because I mean, obviously I didn't know the lady, but while she was giving the speech, like she was just like, while Nathan was giving the speech, she was making all these facial expressions. And I was
Yeah.
like, she's either really pissed off because she thinks she's been hoodwinked into something, or she's really loving this.
Right.
And she was like, everything Nathan said after it was over and she was able to talk, she was like 1,000% supportive of everything he said. And this is coming from somebody that works
DOC.
Works DOC.
Wow. That's awesome right there, man. That is awesome.
And I'm giving that same speech. Well, I'm not supposed to talk about it, but I'm giving that same speech again at the end of the month for one of our area competitions. When Toastmasters, when they do competitions, they have a speech competition and they have an evaluation competition. So basically, I'm the speech for the evaluation competition. So the evaluators will evaluate my speech, and then they'll be judged based on their evaluations of my speech. So
awesome, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
That's awesome.
So
man.
it's actually the evaluators being judged, not you.
Right.
Okay. But
my speech, they're evaluating my speech, and then they're judged based on their evaluation.
But that still lets your speech get out
Yeah.
people that haven't heard it before.
Yeah, and this is the Denver division competition. So we're talking like 30 different clubs are sending members to compete in this competition. Plus, I mean, we're talking a few hundred people are going to be.
Right on.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's so funny to watch. Like Nathan and I started this, and it was Nathan's idea. He said, "Hey man, I think we need to use our stories," because we had both posted about being in prison on LinkedIn. He said, "I think we need to use our stories to kind of help do something." And I was like, "What do you want to do?" He said, "Well, why don't we do a live show on it?" And so this has kind of grown from both of us, neither one of us knowing anything about streaming, starting this show.
Yeah.
Just watching the support from LinkedIn and then now outside of LinkedIn, it's just been amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's been an overwhelming amount of support, and the message is getting out to more people now.
Yeah.
Thanks to Nathan being in Toastmasters and potentially to be on a nationwide stage.
That's awesome, man. That really is.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's upset.
All right, guys. Who do I have? Brittany Linhart will be here on Monday for So I Did a Thing. I don't know Brittany. She's a lady with fiery red hair that talks about workplace culture. And then next week, and just to explain to everybody that might be confused, Ending the Stigma is still every other week, but since Hank got iced out last week, we rescheduled for this week. So next week we have Ariel Moore, who Julie introduced me to her, or told me I needed to connect with her, and then Krista recommended her whenever she was on the show. She worked, and I don't remember, I'd have to go look. She works for a university in Oklahoma.
Yeah, OSU, OKC.
OSU.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, OSU,
Yeah.
OKC.
Mm-hmm.
For people with social barriers, and it's all types of social barriers.
Yeah.
One of which being a felon or an addict, and she herself has been an addict and been to prison before. So she's another success story of somebody that was an addict and a felon that is now working for a major university, working for the state, basically.
Doing big things too.
Doing big things too to help people, not only felons, but other people with social barriers. So she's going to come on and tell her story and tell about what she's doing with OSU OKC to help folks.
So, Chris, we seriously do need to get a live together of like all of us who have done time. You know, everybody who's been a guest in the past who has actually done time. Get all of us together and actually do a spread. We should
do that live. We definitely should.
Like literally in the kitchen with nothing but a coffee pot in the microwave.
Oh, you're talking about a spread?
A spread, yeah.
All right, yeah.
So I did a poll on LinkedIn months ago about if we did a cooking show on Ending the Stigma doing prison food, would y'all watch it? And everybody was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do with just a webcam.
Yeah.
But like I've been kind of working on it, but we could kind of have all this. I could kind of have all the stuff sitting on my desk and
I will get someone over to my house to hold the phone and do it for me. So,
yeah, and I could probably do that too.
Doing all the stuff, and
that'd be awesome. Y'all should definitely do that.
And I've got access to a camcorder. Whenever I stream at the church, we use a video camera, and I hook it into the computer, so I could bring it and set it up and have somebody do that too. Yes, prison food. Like
I saw that.
So right after my divorce, I spent about the first 2 months eating nothing but spreads. So Holly had asked me, "What do you eat for supper tonight?" I'd be like, "Prison food."
Prison food. There you go.
Prison food. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining us, Hank. It was a pleasure, man.
Man, pleasure's all mine, man. It was awesome.
Nathan, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right, man. We will see y'all next week with Ariel Moore on Ending the Stigma and Brittany Linhart on So I Did a Thing. Y'all have a good night.